Okay, so let's start. So today we are going to start a new series called Difference Between Series. In this series, I'll wait, first let's introduce myself. My name is Arinav Roy, and so today we'll start a difference between series in which we'll start the difference between two things or between three things that are important in our this uh, coding journey. So the first topic that we are going to start today is the difference between var, let, and const. So as you all know, this is a very important concept in uh, JavaScript that has been introduced because earlier only var was there. Okay, so first only var was there. So after ES6 came, so ES6 is ECMA script 2015, which is called ES6. So it is basically a version of JavaScript. I'll talk about ES6 later. So basically after ES6 came, uh, let and const, they also came with that. So we were introduced with two new data variables, data types, that is called, they are not data types but how to define data, that is let and const. So let's start between the difference between them. So what we can say is about var. So first let me clear the confusion if you're having any, that why I'm showing this video. Actually my exams are going on, so I don't have that PPT and all with me now. I just wanted to show you something on the screen, so I think this would be good. Okay, so var. So what is var? Var is basically a function scoped yes. So var is basically function scoped, and others let and const, they're block scoped. So what does this mean? A function scoped variable, any variable which is function scoped, can be accessed outside anything. Okay, so if you something let me explain you and difference between a function and a block. A function is the whole global thing. Okay, but a block is, suppose you are using a variable or declare a variable using in a if else statement or in a loop. Okay, so they are all blocks and a function, and if you want to print something, oh no, and if you want to print something outside the block, you cannot do that. Okay, it will not allow you. So that was the so if you are thinking that this is a demerit of let and const, no. So the most this was introduced was earlier. What happened, suppose you declare a variable, suppose var any name. Okay, var any variable name, suppose var variable. Okay, and then you assign it a value. Okay, afterwards in the, so suppose any program has many lines. Okay, 200 lines, 300 lines. So you don't remember every variable. So when in the other, or suppose not only you're collaborating with other people, so they declare a variable with the same name, so that will be allowed. So that is a problem. So your earlier thing that you have declared, that will be overwritten. So that is a problem. So to overcome that problem, ES6 has introduced let and const. So what let and const will let you do is, their blocks go to okay. So what will happen if you have declared a thing inside a block? Yes, if you have declared anything inside the block, it will be available for you in that block only. So let's move to the other point, that is var. So var can be redeclared. So what I told you earlier only that uh, if you declare something, suppose in the earlier parts of the program, and you forget about that thing, and afterwards you redeclare that thing with the same name, so var lets you do that. It will not show any error to you. But let and const on the other hand, they cannot be redeclared. So once you have declared a variable variable name. Okay, suppose let variable or const variable with some value. Okay, so you can never redeclare it again with like uh, let variable name or const variable name. Okay, again you cannot declare it. So this is a very useful function. So suppose you are collaborating with someone, so they will not never by mistake uh, redeclare or overwrite your variable. Okay, so that will not mess up the program. So this is a good one. Okay, now let me share you a new concept which is called hosting. Okay, so this is not the hosting that we do in web development, that is hosting on a server or all that. It is a JavaScript mechanism. Okay, so what is hosting? Hosting is a JavaScript mechanism where the variables and function declarations are moved to the top, of their scope before the load execution. So what does this mean? This means that suppose you have not declared a variable, okay, but you have started using it before that only. So JavaScript, this hosting, what it does is it it declares the variable at the start of the program, okay, and then it sees it if you have used or not, or we have declared or not, okay. So if before declaring, before initializing it, if you have suppose printed it, so it will be declared undefined. Let me show you. Okay, let me move to my screen to my VS Code. Okay, suppose I just used a simple JavaScript file. Okay, you can set it anywhere. So suppose what I'm telling here, so this war thing, the war lets you do this. War enables hosting. So what I'm saying is, suppose if I console.log in JavaScript is simply what is printf in C, what is print in Python. You get my point. Okay. So suppose I console.log abhi is a variable name. Okay, and I declare var abhi here. Okay, so what should happen here? You see. So let me run this node next test.js. I've installed node in my system. So node lets me run the JavaScript files. So if I run this, see what I get. I get undefined. Why I'm getting undefined? Because see, you can say that I've declared Abhinav here. No, what happens here actually is JavaScript does this. JavaScript does var abhi. JavaScript does this. You can press semicolon or you cannot. JavaScript allows you to do that. Okay, so JavaScript does this. So if you have not mentioned also that var abhi here, JavaScript will automatically or initialize the variable at the top of the scope, at the top of the program. Okay, so now if you see, if the program moves from up to down, var abhi, and if I console.log or print the abhi, it will obviously print undefined. But let and const does not allow this hosting. Okay, if I write let here and then I run the program, I get an error. It is cannot access abhi, the variable name, before initialization. Okay, so you have to initialize before printing or carrying out any tasks with that variable if you are using let or const. Okay, so this is also which I consider in my opinion is very a good function for let, because suppose you did not wanted this thing to happen. Okay, you wanted console.logging or printing the abhi, but by mistake you have placed the print thing above where you have initialized, so it will declare print out undefined, and you set up in a confusion state. Okay, so that I don't think you want to let that happen. So let enables us to let shows us this error It helps us to solve this error furthermore. So yes, this is a good function, but we end the difference thing here. But you would have a thing in your mind that okay, so var is different than let and const. But what is the difference between let and const? Uh, so there is actually no difference between let and const in a broader scale, but there is one difference between let and const, that is only one. Okay, between let and const, that sets the difference between them. That's why they're named so. That suppose I write my let, my any variable name, and set it to something. Okay, okay. And I set with const something, suppose this. Okay, so I have set let with hello and const nub with hi. Okay, now the main difference comes is, suppose I want to overwrite the value of abhi with abhinab, and if but when I try to overwrite the value of const, the const thing will not let that happen. That is the main function of const. Suppose I write Netaji here, and if I try to run this, it shows me an error that assignment to constant variable is going to happen. So it is a type error. So const thing does not let overwriting of things. When I say redeclaring, you cannot redeclare in let and const. That meant that I cannot do this. Okay, I cannot do this. Let abhi is equals to abhinav is not allowed for let. Okay, yeah, I'll show you. See what is showing? It's a syntax error where identify abhi is already been declared. It shows that. So when I say that it is not redeclared, I meant this. But you can do this. You can. It is not. It is reinitializing. It is not redeclaring. Okay. So let allows this. Const does not. But that does not mean you cannot change something in const. There is one thing that you can change. That is properties in that value. What do I mean by that is, you cannot change the nub. Okay. Nub has a value, but beneath that nub you have certain properties. Suppose I do not set up this a string but as a array with the initial thing as hi. Okay, hi. So hi is a property of nub. Or if I do like this, anything, I start, just to show you. So this high Abhinav, this Abhinav thing is a property of nub. Okay. So let me stick with arrays. That will be more easy to visualize. So I can change this. Suppose if I use nub.push, push is a thing in JavaScript to push something in the array. Okay. To append something, which we do in Python, append. The same thing applies in JavaScript as push. So if I push something, suppose I push again that hello only. Okay. So now if I try to run this, okay, let me console.log. How will you know? So let me console.log that nub. I get this hi and hello. Okay. So in const, you can change the properties of the variable, but you cannot change the value of the variable. Okay. So let's just end this today. Today we learned about the difference between var and let and const. The next day I'll start with a new difference thing, and also we have another person with us who will share their thing. She is quite experienced in the industry field. Okay, so she'll share her knowledge about coding experience and coding stuff in the later days. So yes, let's end this stream today. Thank you for if you are watching